Allie Phillips. You are harder to get than the president.
Sean, I've got so many people blowing up my phone on a daily basis, I swear.
I know.
It's great. That's why I keep my phone on Do Not Disturb during finals, because I'm like...
I don't blame you. Tell me about how close are you? This is your first year, right?
Yeah.
So what do you have? 2 full years after this, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. How you feeling?
I'm ready for finals to be over. I will be happy going into 2L because your first year's they put you through the ringer, so it'll get a little easier. And plus, I just know what I'm doing now, so
good. Well, kind of missed you. I know we haven't seen you in a while, but when you're done, come grab this kid at it. Grab this kid for a while.
I will.
I hate to. It's just one of those things came up. I don't know if you've been briefed, so I got to kind of give you the little rundown of what's going on and ask what you're willing to do, if anything. Last thing I want to do is ever put you or Michael in a situation. So, shockingly, Linda Karsten got a 6-hour trial against me so she can have her own court order. And Dylan is going to be 13. So it not only doesn't make any sense, my attorney thinks there's an error, and they mixed up the cases because it's so crazy. It's in June. Look.
There's definitely an error.
Yeah. That's what we think.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a hard case for your attorney. Well, I mean, if she knows what she's doing, it should not be hard.
Well, and do you know about the IT sabotage at Fulton County? Sabotage might be the wrong word.
Like their systems were down? Yeah.
Well, some third party in Russia or China or wherever they're doing these things, they basically screwed up all the IT systems, and the phones go into the IT system, so you didn't even have phones working down there as a shakedown, and then they demanded a ransom.
Wow, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, they demanded a ransom. I don't know if they ever paid it. Some of the systems are, I guess, 80 or 90%, but it was done for like 3 months. So everything got screwed up. So anyway, if we have this trial, which I don't think we will, but I mean,
has she filed all the motions and everything?
What's that?
The motion. Has she filed all of her motions already? Like motion to dismiss?
Oh yeah. Well, that's where we think there's an error, because the motion to dismiss was denied, and they used rationale that had nothing to do with our case, because the last time this was dismissed, it was literally, I think the judge wrote in there, this is obviously harassing litigation. There's no merit, and our judge dismissed it from the bench. She didn't even look at anything. She's like, this is dismissed.
Wow.
That was Judge Edwards. And then we get a new judge because Fulton County sucks. And you know what the motto of Fulton County is? One family, one judge. I've had 6. And the reason is so you don't have this, because now every judge thinks they're going to do something special or different than the judge before them didn't do. If you have one judge, they know the parties, they know the progression or the regression of people.
Saves
they know
a lot of time.
Yeah,
they know how
the kids are doing. There's just they know if one of the parents falling behind or getting better in all the different kind of scenarios. Instead, it's like every 2 years we start all over, and so it's been frustrating.
Ridiculous.
But anyway, so
I don't even know how. I mean, that's just so stressful.
It is. I mean, because
it's just so stressful.
Trust me, and you don't
2
even want
2 years.
Yeah.
It's just
every 2 years you get a new judge. let me ask you just a couple of very specific. I got my little notes here just to see if you would even consider testifying or maybe talking to Linda at some point and saying, come on, this is just crazy. Let's figure something out here. I actually texted her to see if she wanted to talk and just try to make this thing go away. But when the last time we had a hearing, I don't know, about a year ago. Oh, it was a Massa case, I think, when Jim Karsten threatened you against testifying. Did he ever?
Yeah.
What he did that when?
I said that was with Michael's case.
Oh yeah. And when he threatened you, did you? Because when you told me, you backed off that pretty quick, right? You didn't want to testify at that point.
Yeah, it wasn't worth it.
Yeah. Do you know what Michael told me 2 weeks ago? And I want to know if she did this to you or if you heard about it. Michael told me that Tracy asked Michael to file a motion for visitation.
With Dylan.
Yes. And that makes sense because she could have me in crazy land with attorney fees forever. I'm assuming she asked you to or implied it.
No, she didn't.
Did Michael bring it up to you?
No, Michael didn't. Michael had mentioned, like, writing a letter or something. Mm-hmm. Like, she was asking him to do that. But I know that you've talked to Michael on those issues. I mean, me and Michael are pretty...
Yeah. Well, let me ask you, are you going to be around during Mother's Day?
Yes, I will.
I hate to... This should be an easy ask. Just pick up Dylan and spend the day with him, please. So it's nice and easy and we don't have to worry about Mother's Day, so you can hang out with Tracy or Linda or whatever. Can you do that? It's not supervision.
If this is the same thing that's happened, if this is the same situation as December,
but
I cannot get in the middle of it.
But you're not getting in the... Here's the thing. What are you getting in the middle of? That always frustrated me. The
thing is if she wants it, I'm not going to obstruct something she's trying to do because that is putting me
what is she trying?
Line of fire.
Well, what is she trying to do?
Like in December where she wanted the supervisor there and she wanted it documented. If that is what she wants, I haven't talked to her about Mother's Day. I don't know what her plans are, but if that is the same thing that she's going to want for Mother's Day, then I'm going to let her have that.
I mean, but that's
unless she's totally okay with me just picking up Dylan.
Can you please? Because you know her. She goes out of her way not to see Dylan so she can go to the judge and say, see, he doesn't let me see Dylan. This is the game she plays. She's gone 3 months without seeing him. I begged her to use a supervisor, and I've gone as far as to say, listen, if you're not going to use a supervisor, tell me, and we'll try to work something out. And she has no communication. And, she's been, she used to do the same thing with Mike and everything. Just kind of.
If she's okay with me picking up Dylan and that's that, then I will do that. She hasn't said anything to me about it. I don't know, I don't know where y'all are with litigation or the supervisor thing. I don't know how much she's seen Dylan, how much she hasn't. I don't know any of that. So we haven't talked about it. I stay pretty much out of it.
All right.
But if she's okay with that, I'll talk to her, and if she's cool with it, then she's cool with it. But if she wants the supervisor or whatever, I'm not doing it, Sean. I mean, there's going to be a day, Sean, where I'm living in a different state.
Yeah, I
and
know.
I see my family, and I love my family, and I'll do everything for my family, but I feel bad because I know that you're stuck in it until Dylan's 18, but after that you're a free man.
Yeah, I know.
You're done.
I know.
You're done, and you can go live your life forever and forget about it and never have to deal with her again.
I know.
So
maybe I get. Yeah, it's trust me. I mean, when this bomb hit this week, I mean, you think Michael died? Mike Sr. just died of other stuff. The stress is overwhelming.
It's bad, I know.
Can you imagine? I mean, this has
It'll kill you, Sean. Like, it will kill you.
Trust me, I've already got to go to the doctor for, extra little help when it comes to my heart. And,
Yeah.
This is the kind of thing, and she'll stress people to death. But anyway,
and you got to keep that in mind too. Like, I know you fight for Dylan so hard, but like, you have to think about how it also impacts you, because obviously Dylan, when all of this is over, when he's 18 and you never have to talk to her again, and you don't have to deal with her, I mean, he's going to want his dad to be healthy and happy and be able to, like, move on from
I know.
everything.
Trust me, I mean? my biggest fear in life is something happening to me like Mike while Dylan's still in school. I mean, that is look, I pray every day. I don't care how old I am when I die, God. Just get to Dylan's high school graduation. Please, get me that far.
You will get that far, Sean. But you also got to keep that heart rate down as much. Do some yoga.
Yeah, I know.
Meditation.
You're gonna like this. Talking about an old man with injuries. So I'm gonna let you guess what happened. My knee has a huge rug burn on it. My other leg is just completely torn up.
Oh, Lord. What do you mean torn? Like actual torn ligaments?
No, I mean surface stuff, skin. My chest.
What did you do?
My chest got it. Come on, you can guess.
Okay, all right, hold on.
It was in the house.
Burn, chest, whole other side of the leg. You only got carpet and...
It wasn't actual carpet.
The living room.
It wasn't actual carpet. All right, I'll tell you, but it's one of those things you see on...
No clue.
It's one of those things you see on Funniest Home Videos all the time, okay?
Oh, Lord.
I wiped out on the treadmill.
Oh, no! Sean, no!
I was going at a good clip, and I heard tick, 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 and it was my shoelace hitting the track. And as soon as I looked down, it got caught in the thing, and I went down like a 200-pound sack of potatoes. And then I got stuck between the treadmill and the wall. And Dylan was in the next room. Listen to this, is funny. Dylan was in the next room. And I yelled, Dylan, to have him help me. So he comes in there and he sees me scrunched in the middle, and he just laughs and laughs.
What a little shit.
But we do.
He's just like...
I know. We do have good rules, though. And I'm 56. So, the rule is basically I can't work out at home unless he's here. We have these little rules because, shit, you fall down and hit your head, you're done.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you a question, and I think I know what the answer is. If this goes the whole way, God, I hope it... Two questions. Would you testify to the fact that Jim threatened you during the Massa case, if you testified?
Can't do it.
Can't do it.
All
right. What about...
Sorry.
It's all right.
Can't do
I
that.
understand. Shit. Trust me. What about you reaching out to Linda and saying, Linda, let it go? I mean, that's...
I will definitely do that. I will 100% call them and have another conversation with them. I've told you before, I've had the conversation with them before.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they might be a little bit more receptive right now. Our relationship has been going pretty well recently, and, you don't really get to see the other side of them, the other side that isn't okay with my mom. Because they do have two sides to them. And
well, I'm going to give you a very easy message to convey, something that they might like. First of all, Dylan's going to be 13 in July. I had a lot of concerns about Jim and Linda when he was 6 and 7 and 8 and 9.
Yeah.
It's not quite as bad. Growing up. I know. So I'm more concerned about his mother than anybody, and Dylan, so I'm okay. Shoot, can do they want to supervise? Would they do that now? I don't know. Do they get along with Tracy right now?
Maybe.
Probably not.
It's kind of like, it's always been on and off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just a constant on and off. Year and year, one day they will be okay, and the next they'll be in an argument. And one day they'll be okay, and the next they're going to be in an argument.
Yeah.
My grandmother's philosophy, just to give you some insight on where their heads are right now in life, my grandmother really doesn't want the chaos. She really doesn't. She doesn't want to be in court. She really doesn't want to be doing this. She's getting tired. My grandfather, and they're obviously not going to show this to you because they're, she's our daughter and we have to do this or whatever. But they don't want to be they don't want to be in this. Like, they don't want to be doing it. They're over it. But my grandmother's philosophy with my mom, and it'll be like this until she takes her last breath, is she's decided, this is my daughter. What am I going to do? We're going to have times where I don't want to be around her and I'm going to avoid her and I'm going to take my breaks from her. And there's going to be times that I see her and that we're together and whatever. She's trying to avoid as much chaos as she possibly can, just like everyone else is, right? Like, we're starting to all kind of get to a similar place where it's like, we've kind of just accepted who this person is. Like, that is my mom, that is your daughter. We don't like her that much, and she's not easy to deal with. We don't want any of her chaos, but...
Well, let me ask you this. This might be an easier ask. Hypothetically, first of all, since Christmas Eve, when I gave you Dylan to go see them on Christmas Eve, they haven't reached out once. But that's okay. Every grandparent doesn't have ongoing regular communication with all their grand. I get it. It's not a big deal. So I couldn't, even if I wanted to, and they said, we want to pick Dylan up tomorrow. I can't do that. I can't just hand them Dylan. They don't know each other. They're not close. Exactly. And when you told me before, remember when you said, why did they file? They don't even care. They're never even around Dylan. No. They've never had a relationship with them.
Because it's not them. It's them doing a favor for my mom.
Yeah.
And my mom manipulating, and my mom basically, like, if my grandmother doesn't adhere to some of my mother's requests, there will be no relationship. So I guess this was one of the things that my grandmother said, I'm going to adhere to this one because it's a do or die request, right? Like, my grandmother doesn't adhere to everything, but if it's something that she knows that, okay, we're probably not going to have a relationship if I don't do this, there's going to be hell for me, then she'll probably say yes to it. Not all the time, but I'm guessing, this was a while ago, right? This was what, like a year or two ago?
Yeah.
So I'm guessing this was one of those things where my grandmother was like, gave in on, you know what I mean? So I will definitely talk to her about, like, I don't think they want to be in this, Sean. Well, they don't want to.
Well,
like, they don't want to do it. It's my mom that wants them to do it.
I know. And when they filed for visitation, just because of Tracy, that triples my stress and financials. Look, between you and I, Holly, I'm not sharing this. I ain't doing too well on the finance. I lost a couple of clients, so I got my head above water, but we're okay. But if these kind of things kind of keep happening, I put it this way. I told Dylan, I said there's a chance I might have to move sometime in the next couple of years. And he's not happy. I had to tell him that because I have to kind of prepare him. I don't want it to be a shock. But, I can't move now because of the interest rate issue. I lose my 3.5. So even if I absolutely had to move now, I couldn't. I wouldn't know where to go.
And I'll tell them that. I'm totally comfortable with telling my grandmother, like, I hope you know that this is not just you playing along with mom's game for the sake of, whatever. Like, this is having a material impact on Dylan's life. Like, people can't just stay in court for 13 years straight and not have any kind of like, and then you've got multiple cases. Like, I'll definitely bring that up to her. I hope that she finds reason in that, because.
Well, not only that, you bring up something that nobody really understands unless I explain it to them. We live in a world today. Most homes are 2-income households. Most are. Even if you got Social Security, you got 2 people. You got married, you got people living together. I'm a 1-income family. If I go south, I got nowhere else to go. If I lose a job, I don't have a backup. I got an attorney who does well as an attorney, and her husband is a school teacher. And she goes, Sean, even if I lost every client, my husband can keep us above the water line. And I can't do that. So when I get financially, and think about paying lawyers for 13 years, and I'm a 1-income person, I'm keeping my head above water, but it's not far above water. But yeah, if you can ask them that and tell them just like that, it's like, look, if you're doing this just for my mother and what you just described, that's exactly what's happening. And that's why she's asking Michael to do it. I mean,
exactly.
The one thing, have I ever told you or Michael, no, you can't see Dylan?
No.
It's never happened. And so she's trying to get them. Look, the thing with, and this is a thing I was going to offer you for Linda. Maybe this will loosen things up. Have her drop the damn thing, but you figure out a time this summer. I don't care where you go. You pick up Dylan and hang out with the Karstens for the weekend or something. Or they want to do the Sky Valley or whatever. I mean, go overnight with the Karstens. But I have to do it like that with you the first time, because it's not fair of me just to throw him in there. Here you go. Or Rich's son, who he really likes.
They love each other.
Maybe you and those 2 and the Karstens can go in their darn Winnebago together or something. And what that can be, if we can do that one weekend, then the dam is kind of broke and everything's kind of opened up a little bit. And then Dylan comes home saying, I had a great time. It was awesome. And then I talk to Lynn and say, okay, you think can we have him for a weekend? 2 months from now? I'm like, sure, we'll work it out. But I just can't hand him to her right now. Right?
Yeah. Okay. Dylan doesn't have a relationship with them. I mean,
it's funny you say that. Let me ask you this, has he ever?
No, not really.
Exactly. And it's funny because the grandparent visitation,
it's crazy that y'all have gone to trial. I don't know what the judge is looking at, but I just did this with my Nana. My Nana was like paying for Asher's phone. My Nana was seeing him consistently, weekend after weekend, for years of his life, taking him to activities, buying him all kinds of stuff, basically a third parent. And the court didn't even look at her motion for 2 seconds. Said no grandparents' rights.
Yeah,
she was a huge part of that kid's life. So to think that a judge looked at this and was like, oh yeah, we got to go to trial for this.
Not trial, not just trial. 6 hours. You know how much it takes to prepare for 6 hours? It takes 60 with lawyer fees.
Like, what are y'all doing? Like, calling witnesses?
What is it? The only thing I can think of is they're going to bring a lot of pictures and they're going to talk. I don't know what else they're going to do.
What pictures?
Pictures of them with Dylan in the past. For 6
hours, that takes 30 minutes.
Well, here's the irony: is just as I told you, I always say every one of my holidays on my time has always been Dylan and as many of you as I can get him in front of. We've spent Thanksgiving with you.
I think we've done pretty good.
Yeah, I do too. But even Christmas Eve. And Christmas Eve was my Christmas Eve because Tracy had Christmas Day. And I had to go down and pick him up from Buckhead on Christmas Eve so he could spend time with his grandparents. But my point is, they haven't reached out once since. So how can they go to court next month or in June with a straight face and say, yeah, we haven't seen him in 6 months, haven't reached out, haven't been any soccer games since 2023, but yeah, we need our court order. I mean, in other words,
I don't know how the judge is looking at this and seeing any kind of case, unless there's some kind of like claim they have in there.
That's exactly. Look, one of the things about the stress that builds up, Allie, is people can write anything down on a piece of paper. So their motion is completely made up lies. It's completely made up. So the judge looks at the motion and they're talking about this great relationship. And once I got sole physical custody, I completely changed and I won't let them anywhere near him.
Two?
What?
When Dylan was what?
Exactly.
Well, when you got complete custody?
I've had final say since he was 2. But it's funny, they're using this provision, this little thing. Yeah, but since he's had sole physical custody, which was since about 5 or 6 years ago, he's changed and he won't let us do it. I didn't even know I had that until I talked to my attorney last week. I'm like, what does this mean? In other words, it doesn't really mean anything because what covers that is the final decision making.
I know that provision. It is a provision, but it's like, that's so long ago. And the court asked my Nana this. They said it was only a 2-year time frame between when my aunt died and when they went to court. Mm-hmm. And the court looked at my Nana and said, why didn't you bring this case 2 years ago? Mm-hmm. So to think that the judge is looking at this where, let's say you got final custody 5 or 6 years ago, it's so odd to me that the judge didn't look at that and say, why wasn't this brought 5 years ago?
Yeah. And you know what's very upsetting when I read that is, they just made the whole thing out like I'm withholding, and they play the innocent, poor little old couple, and I'm keeping them from their grandchild. So they just play that card. And it's ironic because the first 3 years of his life, they didn't acknowledge he was breathing. They didn't acknowledge him when we were in the hospital and he was born. Didn't acknowledge him at the christening. And then when he was 3 and they finally wanted to acknowledge that he was alive, they only did so through me. They said, we won't have a relationship with Tracy, but we'd like to know Dylan through you. I'm like, all right. And so what did I do? I facilitated every few months. Go out for dinner with them, go out for lunch. That was fine. And then they decided, well, now we don't want a relationship with Dylan through you. Now we want one through Tracy. And then I'm like, whatever. And then they said, okay, we don't want a relationship with Dylan or Tracy. Now we want our own court order. And at the direction of Tracy, saying, you file this and I'll pay. That's another thing. They don't pay for anything.
Right.
Tracy.
Who's the attorney? Is it the same attorney as my
mom? It was. She's got different attorneys now. You know how she goes through attorneys. She just had another attorney fire her.
I actually don't.
Oh my God.
That's actually one thing I'm not.
Oh my God.
I'm not updated on. I don't know how many attorneys she's had or if she's had the same one.
You know the Doug Davis case?
Yeah.
Her attorneys fired her a couple weeks ago. They just said we don't want to represent you anymore. And so this happens I think she's had 7 or 8 different attorneys just for family court, and when she sues other people, she's got 2 or 3 other attorneys. I mean, this has been going on your entire life.
Yeah.
I mean, but anyway, that's not even part of this. But all right, so
I'll talk to them.
And here, look.
I also just hope that this can the judge. I mean, I'm obviously going to talk to them, and hopefully they come to some kind of sense. But shit, like I don't know how much money it costs you to have your attorney filing motions and stuff, but like it just seems like a crazy thing that y'all are even going to court for it. So I hope there's something there as well.
Well, and here's the
in
thing.
case they don't.
Oh no, there's nothing. And what am I going to do? I mean, what is my defense when I get there? My defense is, Judge, they haven't been around for 6 months. They didn't have a relationship with them. When they wanted one, I initiated it. So, and it's going to be just weird for him. I mean, there's no way they're going to win based on if all the truth comes out. Like, this was only filed. Why was this motion filed, Allie? The Carson case?
Because of my mom.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. I mean, so that's the
Have y'all said that in your
pleadings,
like responses and stuff? Yeah.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I think the last judge that saw this the first time they filed said it was harassing. It was a harassing motion, and litigious, or it might. I don't know if you use the word litigious, but it definitely used the word harassing. They're harassing me through litigation. And, here I am spending 30 minutes talking with you mainly about this on a Saturday afternoon. And now I got to stress like crazy until mid-June. And so everything changes, my life, you know me pretty well. You know me, I'm a worrier, right? Probably worried.
I know.
And so, but the stress.
It's hard not to be in this situation that you're in.
Yeah. I mean, so everything's
hard not to be. Yeah.
So if you can do that, because here's the reality. If let's say everybody had to go to court, let's just say, judge said, okay, Allie, you're going to be there. Okay, Michael, you're going to be there. Jim and Linda, you're going to be there. Sean, you're going to be there. Tracy, you're going to be there. Everybody's going to be there. And everybody got up there and said something. The judge would bang the gavel, especially after your testimony, saying, well, I got threatened one time, and this happened, and then I know why my mother actually had my mother file it, and blah, blah, blah. This thing would get thrown out right away. But now I can't have everybody testify for good reason, because you have to worry about your own lives. And so the only other option I have...
I mean, you can start subpoenaing people. Voluntary testimony and subpoena testimony are two different things.
Well, I can't subpoena you. Who else would I get that has all this information? You're Tracy's daughter. You've got everything. I know you don't want to be put in this position. That's why everything kind of comes down to you. I don't mean that kind of pressure. Either you testify or you talk to Linda and say, Linda, maybe that's what you tell Linda. Linda, if Sean subpoenas me, I don't have a choice. And I don't want this. Can you please what if I pick Dylan up and we spend a weekend together and we open the door there? I mean, maybe, I'm not going to do that if you don't want me to, but maybe that's maybe that's part of your conversation.
Yeah.
Just, maybe you can use that as leverage, saying, Linda.
I also don't want to paint you in a bad light either, though. You know what I mean? Like, I also, in the conversation, don't want to paint you like, he's going to subpoena me.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
I don't want them to think that I'm like,
okay,
Sean's going to do this to me.
Don't say that. Don't say that then. Don't say that. Just,
I don't want them to have it, because they know that we have a relationship. They know that we have a good relationship. They know that we talk. They know all of that. I don't want to implicate that like you're bringing me into something that I don't want to be brought into. So I'm not going to say that, but I mean, I can say something to the effect of like, what do you expect someone to do when they've been litigating for 13 years and their bank accounts being dragged through the mud for 13 years, and then you just keep piling on litigation? Like, you can't blame him if he's reaching for the resources that would help him get out of that situation. You know what I mean? Like,
let me tell you.
I can say something to the effect like that, but...
And let me tell you, and you know your mother, she's never going to pay me a nickel that she doesn't have to. And so I get $575 a month from her, and she's supposed to pay for half of all of Dylan's extracurriculars. It's $2,000 a year for him to play academy soccer. I had to have a conversation with him the other day saying we might have to go back to rec. He is going to be crushed. And
yeah, you can't do that, Sean. He's going
I'm
to be a soccer star.
Allie, I'm putting stuff on credit cards now. I have he's got a 12-day Christian camp. I asked Tracy. She said no. She's not going to pay her half. That's $2,000. That's on an American Express card. So I can't keep running up credit card debt for Dylan's camps either. Yeah, he missed Clemson. Yeah. He was supposed to go to Clemson Tiger soccer camp. That was only $500. So I had to give him the choice. I said, you can't do both. He would have stayed overnight. I was in the same camp in 1978. So cool. I know. He can't do it because I had to give him a choice. I said, which one do you want to do? This one costs $2,000. This is $500, but I can't do both. He goes, I'd rather go to the 10-day camp. So it's already hitting him. We don't go out that much anymore. When I get served with this crap, I have to look at my bank account and say, okay, we can't do this, we can't do this, we can't do that. I mean, so it's already hitting, and I hope Linda understands I am not a rich guy. I'm a one-income household, and I'm hanging on. Now, if Tracy knew this, she'd try to step on my neck, and she would she would figure out 5 more things to file against me to keep me busy for a couple of years. But but try to have a good conversation with Linda and say, Linda, just bite the bullet on this one. Step back and let it go. And hopefully we can get there. Okay.
I hope that she's responsive, and I will try to do my best because even though, and like I said, one, I would ask if I ever was subpoenaed, not saying that that's going to happen or not, I would ask not to bring up the gym thing because me and him, we've had a conversation about that. He's apologized. He's said it was wrong. He said he was caught up in the moment. And I understand that. Even though I know people look at it as but you've been through the same thing, Sean. Like when you were married with my mom, you did things that you're not proud of.
Oh, absolutely. Because everybody comes to the defense, and then you do what you feel like you have to do.
You do what you have to literally just survive and have peace in your life. So I can't blame him for in the moment.
Yeah, but in the moment, threatening the career of his granddaughter if she testifies, that's a pretty big apology.
I know. I mean,
And then you didn't. And then you didn't testify. And then you didn't testify.
Stuff like that.
And then you didn't testify.
I know.
So.
I know.
So it worked.
I know, but I don't. It's not like he doesn't know that wasn't wrong or that it shouldn't have happened or whatever. We've had a conversation about it, and I don't agree with everything they do, but I would just like for that to not come up because I know that that's a sore spot for him. I know he's embarrassed by it, and even though it was wrong, I just don't want to. That's the first time in my life I've ever had a moment with my grandfather, anything like that.
Yeah.
And that was a low moment, but
well, maybe
they've never threatened me like that before.
Maybe they'll do you a favor because you're good. Maybe just say, please do it for me. Maybe they'll do it for you. I mean, that's I'm stressing pretty heavy here, Allie. You could.
I know.
I'm lighthearted, but at the same time, I'm not in the best of shape with all this. So.
I know, and I will try my best. I'll try to reason with him and everything.
Right.
And worst comes to worst, Sean, if you need to subpoena me, like I said, voluntary testimony is very different from being subpoenaed.
Well,
does it look good on your part from me advocating for you?
There would be three, but
it would help you.
But there would be 3 or 4 probably questions. If we leave the Jim threatening one out, you'd have to get up there and say what you said before. They didn't have much of a relationship, Jim and Linda, and she filed, and she filed to help Tracy. That's the big one.
Yeah.
She filed the motion for visitation just to help Tracy. I mean, those are the kind of things that, we're going to ask you. I mean, we can frame them differently, but that's a biggie.
Yeah, we're not there yet, but if it was absolutely necessary, which I don't even think y'all should be at trial. Like, I don't even think that. I'm surprised the judge has let it go this far, but if it's absolutely necessary, then we can get there. I'll talk to them.
Let me ask you this question. This is just me being if you were asked a very broad question, like from my attorney that said something like, do you think Sean is making the right decision as it relates to your grandparents? I mean, or visitation with him. I mean, are you fine with an answer there?
My answer to that would be, I think for any parent, if you've been in this kind of litigation, especially with like my mom and the environment, the volatility of it, and not having a relationship with those grandparents, like any parent is going to be like, you don't know my kid. And then also, the factor is my mom. Like, that would be like, yes, I would say yes. I think he is making the right choice because it's not just about my grandparents.
Right.
It's about my mom. If my mom wasn't in the equation, we wouldn't have a problem here with the grandparents.
Exactly. Let me ask you.
If my mom was normal, there would be no issue here.
If you testified under subpoena, would your mom disown you? Would she say, "Get away from me"? I mean, do you have to worry about that again?
I mean, I don't know how it's going to look. What I would say to them if I was subpoenaed, like verbatim, is, look, guys, I am subpoenaed into court. Whether you like that, whether you don't, whether you think it's right, whether you think it's wrong, however you feel about Sean, I'm subpoenaed, and I'm not going to lie. I have my own legal, career ahead. I don't believe in lying in a court of law. I'm not going to lie. Whatever they're asking me, I'm going to answer. I'm not lying for anyone. So if y'all are not okay with that, like, y'all are my family and I love you, but I'm not going to lie. I don't know what to, you know what I mean? And if they don't like that, then
they'll have to go.
My grandparents are going to be people that are like, you have to lie for me. They're not going to do that. So, I mean, I don't, and so that would be a part of our conversation too. And they know that about me. Like, and my grandmother, like, even though she's lied in court before for my mom, she said the same thing to me when it came to Fred, when it came to Rich, when she got subpoenaed into court and she was testifying in those cases. She looked at me and was like, Fred's mad at me because I wouldn't lie.
Oh, because of you?
You can't turn around.
Yeah.
No, Fred was mad at her because she wasn't going to lie. When they asked her about his drug use and cheating and the way he handled the kids, she didn't lie. So if she turns around and looks at me and says, I have to lie.
Oh, my God.
Then it's not even that big of a, you know what I mean? So I can't imagine that that'll impact our relationship. They're just not going to want me to. And obviously, I have nothing bad to say about my grandparents in court. I don't think it's a bad thing that they don't have a relationship with Dylan. I think it's a accumulation of a bunch of different things, and then it has to do with their daughter. So it's not like I'm saying something bad about my grandparents. I don't think they're bad, horrible people just because they haven't had a relationship with him. But that also doesn't mean that they should be able to be in court and drag you through. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the one thing, if they dismiss it based on your conversation, this can't be one of those dismissals where Linda runs to an attorney and says, okay, but Sean has to promise me these weekends and these days, and then he's got to sign here. I got to be dad. I got to be the parent. They're going to have to trust me. And they're going to trust me if they trust you. And you're going to have to, when they start saying, oh, no, we need to have this, I'm not going to give them a court order. That's just, Can you imagine the chaos of I have a court order and they have a court order and Tracy has a court order? Or somehow there's a mixed court order? I mean, so they're going to have to trust me, and I will open up. But Dylan has to, engage with them. That's up to them, really. The olive branch is out there. They got you. Go take a weekend together, the four of you, and bring next kid. And I would never deceive, the situation if they dismissed it. Let's just move forward. Dylan's a little older now. He's not 6.
He's 3 years away from deciding if he even wants to hang out with his own dad.
1 year. Well, he's at 14.
I mean, like, I'm gonna go drive and hang out. You're like, oh, let's go see a movie, Dylan. He's like, no, Dad.
Here's the crazy thing.
Friend.
You bring up a great point. Georgia law on the 14 is let's say Tracy had to come pick him up today at 6:00 for a scheduled dinner with Dylan. If Dylan says he doesn't want to go, he doesn't have to go. That's the 14 rule. So what do you think is going to happen if some new order, what are we going to have, an order that lasts 8 months by the time, or 9 months, and then he's 14 and he looks at Jim and Linda and said, I ain't going. I mean, I'm staying right here. So.
Hey, honestly though, Sean, at least you've made it. I know you've spent a lot of money, but at least you've made it this far where Dylan he's about to be his own little decision maker inadvertently.
Trust me.
Because.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I mean, at least you've made it this far without any crazy,
that's what puts me to sleep every night. The last 13 years, especially the last 11 years, and gutting through. And if you ask Dylan this one question, he would be a little shocked by the question, but this is how much I've alienated him from the garbage. What has your dad ever said anything about your mother? He will say never, not once. I've never heard him say a bad thing about her. So I have in other words, he thinks highly of everybody because I haven't trashed anybody. Remember growing up? You growing up? Remember what you went through and Michael went through? And I almost hate to use y'all as an example. I think I've told you this before. But I would tell it to Jim and Linda. I mean, what is my number one goal in raising Dylan between the ages of 2 and 17 or 18? It's to make sure he doesn't have the same childhood as his siblings. Isn't that sad? Isn't that sad that has to be my goal for him?
Yeah. It's true though. We had a pretty rough go.
We had a very rough go.
Michael's almost over the finish line, but
let me tell you, Michael has grown on me. I miss that boy because I can see it in his face, when we hang out. And what I see in his face is, Sean, I love you, and I want to hang with you guys, but I'm not allowed to. Or, I wish I could do this, but I can't. I see that in his face, and it's hurtful. I told Dylan yesterday, I said, I don't know if we'd have some rumbles here at the house, but I think I'd enjoy Michael up here. We'd be living, it'd be tough, but I know he wouldn't want to live here if the worst case scenario happens, if he gets kicked out or whatever. But he knows that is an open invitation. But he's missed.
He does. I mean, Michael's over it. If you could hear Michael, the thing about what me and Michael grew up in is when kids grow up in a traumatic environment, they do what they have to survive. Yeah. It's not a character flaw.
Right.
And that's something that you grow out of, and it's something that you have to deal with later on. I had to go through therapy for things that I did that I regretted my actions and how horrible I was acting, but you can't blame yourself because in those moments when you're a child, you're in survival mode. You're just doing what you can to have a happy day or, get that one pair of sneakers that all your friends have. You just want to be a kid. You just want to think about normal things, and you do what you have to just try to feel normal, you know? So, like, I've always known Michael is a good person, and he's almost out of it, and he's going to start his journey with like I did, and he may or may not, you know, I don't even know if I'm going to have a relationship with my mom in a year. I have no expectations, you know, like, and Michael is the same way as well. While we have a relationship right now and we're keeping things at bay, it very well tomorrow could be something that I'm not going to compromise on, or, you know, so he wants to be close with you and Dylan. He wants to have a good relationship with y'all and, you know, have a good life. Let me tell you, he is a good person.
Let me tell you, I talked to him a couple weeks ago, and this is one of those moments where I saw it in his face. Yeah. And I felt bad for him for what he was in the middle of trying to tell me. He was trying to tell me, Sean, I got this many tickets for my graduation, and they have to go, and she has to go, and, you know, I'm sorry you can't go. You know, that's always a little stinger, but I've heard that with people. But the fact that he had this look on his face of, you know, I want you there, but, you know, you can't go. You know, that almost was enough for me.
Because it implicates me. And that's the whole, that's the whole, like, sad part about it is, like, I have to, you know, I want to be the best, let's say just friendship. Like, I want to be the best friend, or I want to be the best family member to you that I can, but I can't because my own safety, my own happiness, my own life is implicated in doing that.
Yeah, I know. And I also send him these little notes once in a while, just little kind of feel good, motivational, positive things about his dad once in a while. Yeah. And he's got this way where he communicates with me always about Dylan, but also about, you know, I don't have a dad anymore. Like, can I go fishing with you guys? Yeah. He's got that, you know, so it's tough with him sometimes.
I know. It's sad. I have, like, really high hopes for Michael, though. Yeah. I don't know if you heard, though, he got into North Georgia.
Yeah, he told me, I hope he does it. And just, you know, do the best you can. And I hope he does take the military route. I think it's perfect for him. The great thing about the military is, and that you could do, obviously, North Georgia is like a military kind of setting, I guess. The great thing about the military, you don't have to have a life of it. Go do 3 or 4 years, get your shit together, put a plan together for the rest of your life, and when you get out, you know, do it. I mean, you know, this house, Allie, and every home I've ever had is from a veteran's loan. The benefits,
so crazy.
The benefits are great. If I walked up the street and saw a for sale sign on this house, let's say for $500,000, it's worth more than that now, obviously, but let's say for $500,000, and I wasn't a veteran, I'd have to come up with at least $50,000 in cash as a down payment, because you got to put like 10% down. How many 30-some-year-old couples have $50,000 sitting around, right? So my point for Michael is there's so much benefits from health, and it's the respect, you know, for the rest of your life. You know, you're kind of on a separate level, not a better level, just a separate level than 98% of the population. And people, look, I'll send you some things. I do these suicide prevention things all the time, volunteer for veterans. I got to speak at Callaway Gardens for one this summer. I organized the first ever Staff Sergeant Fox Suicide Prevention Forum at the Capitol last year. Yeah. I'll send you pictures if you want them.
Cool.
But
yeah, no,
you know,
cool. I love those topics too.
Well, you know, the interesting thing about, I don't want to get on a tangent, but the important thing about suicide prevention in the VA and DOD is they consider it now, which they never had before. Maybe they consider it a clinical issue now. not like a you're just mentally not well issue. It's literally a clinical issue. So there's a lot more resources going into it now, and hopefully it makes a better impact. But anyway, okay.
No, it's serious. I know, we're like, all right.
I know.
We're going to get off now, but let's continue to talk.
I know. Well, I miss you. You're just a good soul, and I'm so glad you're in Dylan's life. And I'll have him call you tonight if you're around, okay?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, sorry I've been so distant. I mean, honestly, Sean, this law school stuff, like, I know y'all think I'm, like, super smart and everything. I'm smart, but, like, but this is definitely one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. And that says a lot. Because,
well, look, see,
I'm sorry I've been so distant, but I
that's all right.
have to.
Look, I
have to put in this time or I'm not going to make it.
Some of your childhood was advantageous. See, when you locked yourself in the room to get out of the hell, you hit the books.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's true. Now I absolutely have to lock myself. It's not even a voluntary thing. I'm like, I'm not going to make it to my 2L year if I'm not sitting here studying. I mean, the amount of information is just insane. Sometimes I look at myself and I'm like, I don't even know how I retained this much information. Like, seriously, it's just like, I don't even know.
Well, you're a great inspiration to Dylan. He looks up to you like crazy, and his brother, which is great. So, all right. Well, look, I'll try to get you two together later on. I'll just text you and see if you have a few minutes, okay?
All right, perfect. All right,
thank you, Al. And just, start to lay out a plan on how you're going to talk to the Karstens. Are you going to see them soon? Probably not, right? It'll be by phone, I guess?
Yeah, it'll be by phone. Because the next time I'm going to see my grandmother is Mother's Day, and that's not going to be a good time to say anything else.
Yeah, I hear you.
So it'll probably be phone.
Okay. Does it make, can you pick
It'll
up Dylan?
It'll probably be next week after my finals are done. I'll probably give them a call, even probably before Mother's Day.
Okay.
And talk to them just to get it out of the way.
Can you pick up Dylan on Mother's Day?
Like I said, if she's totally cool with that, I will do it.
Okay.
But if she wants to fight me on it,
all right, I hear you.
I'm not gonna fight with her on that. I might just pick up Dylan on Mother's Day anyways.
Yeah.
And
then hopefully we can do something.
If she's not.
Well, yeah. In the big scheme of things, you hopefully she just wants to put things aside and realize it's Mother's Day. Have a great one where you and your grandma and Tracy and Michael and Dylan can all hang together for a couple hours. That shouldn't be it shouldn't be a hard thing to make happen. I hope it does. So we'll see what happens. I guess.
I don't think she's gonna oppose it. I don't feel like she would, but
okay.
I'm just saying, in the event that she
let me ask you,
I'm not gonna.
Can I say I briefly spoke with Allie? I think she's okay with picking Dylan up. Can I say that or no?
No.
Okay.
I will talk to her.
All right.
I will talk to her and say, I can pick up Dylan for Mother's Day or whatever.
Okay. All right.
And then I can tell her I've talked to you, because she hates hearing from you that you've talked to me, but she doesn't mind if I tell her I've talked to you.
Okay, I will keep my mouth shut. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Allie. I'll have him buzz you later.
Okay.
Thanks, Allie.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.